Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday evening. I know it's not quite 6:30 yet. However, because of some different time constraints and such, I'll be doing this kind of at random times on Tuesdays, but we're still going to do Compassion Tuesday, for lack of a better name, because it's Tuesday and we're talking about compassion. We're also going to be talking about a new concept called bodhicitta, or the mind of awakening, that we started talking about last time. I did miss last week, so I apologize for that. Things just kind of, life happens, right? So I wasn't able to put up a video here, so we'll make up for it this week. And I think this is a wonderful day to do this today. There's obviously there's some terrible things going on in the world right now. Again, this seems like things just can't get better as we're moving through 2020 here. And I know that a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed. A lot of people are getting seriously hurt and injured, of course. But just for those of us even who aren't actually participating in protests and the unrest that's happening right now, it can be difficult. It can be hurtful. It can feel like a lot. It can feel like a lot of emotional weight. I know I'm not immune to that, and I'm trying my best to stay centered and to stay grounded, to stay realistic as well. I like to consider myself to be an optimist, but that doesn't mean that I don't also have or try to maintain a realistic outlook as to what's going on in the world. And things are serious, and things could go one way or another. So what I'd like to do tonight is to keep in mind all of the people who are suffering right now, who are experiencing fear, who are experiencing anger and rage, who are experiencing feelings of hopelessness and hurt and confusion. There's so many of us, so many different emotions out there that people are experiencing right now. Even people who are so-called, on the other side of issues and so on and so forth. Although I do have firm ideas and beliefs about what my values are, and I don't believe in condoning things that are. I don't believe in condoning injustice, inequality, and oppression and things like that. Again, we've talked about in the past how we can have compassion for our enemies, we can have compassion for people who even want to harm us, and that does not at all mean that we condone what they're doing, nor that we take no action. But however, tonight, let's just kind of keep everyone in mind as much as possible, every human being, because every human being on this earth, like we've explored through our meditations on compassion, experiences suffering and wants to be free from suffering. And they may be going through things that we just simply don't understand. And it's it's an opportunity for us to, even when we are taking action and speaking out for what we feel is right and what is just, we can still hold compassion in our hearts for the people who are perpetrating violence, or the people who are just kind of, they appear to be just racist to the core. We can still have compassion for them because we can just sort of imagine maybe what their life was like, and where they come from, and what kind of a mind is. What kind of a mind is a racist mind? I've actually had the, I guess, fortunate in one way and also unpleasant experience of talking to, years and years ago, a couple of neo-Nazis, and it was a really unpleasant conversation. And it actually makes me sick to my stomach, actually, when I recall that conversation. But I just remember the feeling that I got from them was that they were profoundly unhappy human beings. They were in a great deal of torment. They live lives of paranoia and suspicion and hatred and fear. And yes, they have a responsibility to make their own choices. We all have free will. absolutely. But nonetheless, the life that they were living, I would not want to be them. Let's just put it that way. I would not want to be them. The life and the attitudes and the sort of the worldview that they have is one of terror, actually. And it's not a very pleasant existence at all. So let's keep everyone in mind here that we possibly can. If we can go that far and include people like even Donald Trump, we can do that. If not, just do the best you can as we do this practice tonight, as we do our meditation, and as we talk about bodhicitta, the mind of awakening, and compassion, and things like that. Try to widen our view as much as possible. And just go just as far as we can. And if we get to a point where we can't go any further and we start losing our compassion, then just come back. It's okay. It's okay. We don't have to be His Holiness the Dalai Lama and have a perfect compassion for each and every single human being and being in the world. But that's the aspiration, and the aspiration is to at least try to increase compassion for those in our lives who we find it possible to have compassion for. So we're going to do the best we can tonight, okay? Hope that didn't ruffle too many feathers, and if it did, well, let me know in the comments, okay? We can have a discussion about it. So let's start out with our meditation this evening. I don't have a clock here on my phone, so I am going to just kind of guess the time here, and we will do some meditation. And I think these times of upheaval, when there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on, it's a good time to be able to have this skill of meditation, to be able to take a step back when we need to, so we can reset. So let's do that right now. Let's reset. Let's come into the present moment. So go ahead and find yourself a good seat. Have a nice posture with your back straight. And we'll go ahead and begin. And let the sound of the bell be an invitation to just come into the present moment. Whatever's happening in your life right now has already happened. We don't know what's to come. So to the best of our ability, let's just let the past and the future, or ideas about the past and the future, just let those go as best we can and bring our attention, our awareness to our breath here in the present moment. And just very gently allow the awareness to rest on the breath. Just notice the breathing. Notice the sensations of the air coming into the nose. And then exiting through the mouth or through the nose, however you're breathing. And if you find it helpful, you can count the cycles of breath as a way to kind of keep you focused. But again, it's not a intense laser-like focus, but a gentle focus. an open awareness. Inhaling is 1, exhaling 1, inhaling 2, and exhaling 2. And at some point you'll probably find that you've lost count, that your mind has wandered or drifted, carried away by some thought or another. Or just simply spaced out. And when that happens, it's okay. There's no problem. Just notice that you've wandered off the breath and start again. And start again with 1. And if all you ever get to is 1, that's fine. Just keep coming back. Back to the breath. Back to the present moment. Thoughts are going to come up. And again, that's okay. Thinking is a natural process of our minds. We're not trying to stop thinking. In fact, if we try to do that, that's just going to be miserable. It's much too tight, much too strained. So what we do instead is that we just simply notice that we're thinking. Notice that we're thinking, and then remind ourselves of our agreement when we sit down to do this practice that we're going to rest our attention on our breath. That's going to be the focus of our attention and our awareness. And so with loving kindness and gentleness towards ourselves, we just simply notice our thinking, and we come back the breath. As many times as we have to. Each moment is fresh. We can just begin again. All right, well, I don't know about you, but that was great. I definitely needed a reset. Like I was talking about in the beginning, there's just so much going on right now. These are times of upheaval. One of the things that we talk about a lot in Buddhism is just, and meditate on and contemplate is the sort of continuous bum ride, bum deal that is what we call samsara. Kind of just our normal existence. And that actually, it's always unsatisfactory. And that's because everything is impermanent, right? And because everything is impermanent and that we don't want it to be, we want everything to last. And because that's impossible, it hurts. Because we're always losing. We're always losing the battle. We're always losing the game. And we know that, even when we deny it with our every fiber of our being. However, we're also kind of not like these fully awakened, spiritual masters who kind of see that with this wonderful perspective, this all-seeing, all-encompassing perspective, completely, fully realized. So it seems to us that like times like this are especially terrible. We have a global pandemic. We have a fascist president and a lot of enabling fascists in the government as well. And not just in this country, but in other countries. Brazil. to name a few. Um, we've got these protests and these riots and these confrontations continuing, and there's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of gross suffering that's happening. And so I want to acknowledge that tonight. I want to acknowledge that. And I don't want to spiritually bypass that by saying, something along the lines of what I was alluding to before, which was that, all life is always suffering. Yes, that's absolutely true. But I don't want to deny the fact either that this time right now is especially challenging, I think, for anyone with a pulse, anyone with a heart. So acknowledge that for yourself. So rather than diving off the deep end here and going back in the direction that I was going to kind of take this course, talking about bodhicitta, about the mind of awakening, I'm just going to step back a little bit, and we'll just kind of come back to compassion. We can always go deeper and deeper into that, and especially right now. Let's come back to cultivating compassion for ourselves by recognizing that these are challenging times, by accepting that, by not trying to deny that or not trying to deny the feelings that we're having about what's going on. And if we need to break down and cry, if we need to scream out the window, enough is enough. Enough of this bullshit. Enough of this racism. Enough of this totalitarianism. Enough of this authoritarianism. Enough of this aggression. Enough of this oppression. We can do that. We don't have to pretend that it's not happening anymore. Or try to, stuff the pain away with another same-day delivery from Amazon, which I don't think they're doing that anymore. But you know what I mean. And let's acknowledge what's happening, acknowledge that, again, I'm hurting. I'm hurting because of all of this. In all kinds of ways. Other people are hurting in other ways. I recognize that. I recognize that in many ways I don't understand the issue of racism. But I also know that I'm having my experience of what's happening, and it hurts. And so I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with that so that I don't ignore that, so that I don't, just kind of sweep that under the rug or sweep it aside as if it doesn't mean anything or as if it's not important. So start with that. Start by acknowledging where you are right now and what your experience is and what your suffering is right now in all of this. Maybe you feel just frightened by the uncertainty of it all. Don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen from hour to hour anymore. Not that we ever did, but again, this highlights, this accentuates that reality. Makes it more intense. So maybe that's what we're suffering from the most. We're afraid of the things that we're seeing on the news, or the things that we're seeing in our cities and our communities. I think I got a little disconnected there, but so, yeah, some of us are just we're afraid. We're seeing, armed police and National Guard and um, all these images on social media of people being shot by rubber bullets, and um, the video of George Floyd even being replayed over and over again, and that traumatizing. It's traumatizing for all of us to witness something like that. And so we acknowledge that, and we acknowledge that there's real suffering that's going on. So let's take this as an opportunity rather than to hide from it, though. Let's take this as an opportunity to cultivate courageous compassion, starting with ourselves. Starting right here, right now. Let's not put it off any longer. Let's not become numb or go back to being numb. Let's feel this. And let's cultivate that compassion, which that compassion is the wish, the aspiration that I and all other beings be free from suffering. And it's not just aspiration. It starts out with aspiration. It starts out with working with our minds, cultivating this emotion, this power of compassion that we have, that all of us have, is developing in it, strengthening it, like a workout, getting better and better all the time with it, until it just fills our entire being, is really the goal. So that without even thinking, our minds automatically go to compassion. What can I do to alleviate the suffering of myself and others? What can I do in this situation right now to alleviate suffering, to be of service to others? And for everybody, that's going to be different, right? It's going to be different for everyone. I can't stand memes. I really can't. I can't stand social media memes because, for one thing, probably at least half of them are from bots, right? They're just totally made up by in some, think tank somewhere with some agenda. And also, they tend to be very reductive, and they're just the only thing that they're designed to do is to provoke an emotional response, and we need less, emotional response these days. We need something a little deeper, not just this knee-jerk stuff. But anyway, I saw a good meme today saying something along the lines of, just basically just do what you can do. Maybe for you it's protesting in the street. Maybe for you it's working in government. Maybe for you it's doing the right thing as a police officer, or doing the right thing as a member of the military or the National Guard. Maybe for you it's being a journalist who courageously reports truthfully what's going on. Maybe for you it's none of those things. Maybe for you it's taking care of your family, making sure that they're safe. Maybe for you it's simply just making sure you're safe. But whatever it is, we do this from compassion, and that's why we train in compassion, so that it infuses all of our actions. It gives direction to all of our actions, so our actions become more meaningful, more helpful. So that the things that we do don't just, become frivolous, and then we die, and then and then we've got all this credit card debt. And that's about it. So I want to just kind of end this session tonight, and let's do a meditation on compassion. We'll do a short little meditation on compassion, and we'll just imagine, you know, that let's just imagine that we are capable of more than we think that we are. Let's just let go of the idea of limitations for a moment. Let's use our imaginations to cultivate compassion in a really vast way, in a very big way. And let's all kind of do that right now. And let's call to mind, in whatever way that works for you, call to mind the situation in the world right now. And imagine yourself standing up above it or sitting up above it all. So don't be too close in it. Don't get too drawn into the emotion of it. We've all been there, and you're welcome to go back there after this. But for now, let's just take a step back. Not, we don't have to be detached and cool and all that. But just so we're not feeling so intensely about things. Just imagine, visualize, whether it's images from the news that you've seen, or just imagine the whole Earth as a globe, even, and you're just kind of looking at it. And just let's just try to just sit for a moment and cultivate compassion. First, just kind of bring up that compassion. May I be free from suffering. May I be free from suffering. And then call to mind people that you love and care about. Maybe your partner, maybe your children, your parents, your siblings, your best friends. And generate a feeling of compassion for them. May they be free from suffering. And if you want to get a little woo-woo with it, you can sort of imagine that you're sending out that compassion in some way from your heart. Visualize, I don't know, maybe some like white light or something coming out from your heart. And that's the light of your compassion, your genuine compassion for others. May this person who I love and care about, may they be free from suffering. May I be able to make that happen. Send that out to them, that really profound and heartfelt wish. And then increase that vision to include your entire neighborhood. May everyone on my street and on the streets next to me, even if I don't know these people, may they be free from suffering, because they suffer just like me. We all suffer the same. May they be free from suffering, just like my loved ones, just like myself, like my loved ones. May they also be free from suffering. May I be able to make that happen. And let your imagination go. Imagine that actually coming to fruition. And send out that light from your heart. Now even further, now into your entire town or city where you live. May every single being, every human being, every animal, every bird, every insect, everybody, let's just blow the roof off this. Let's blow the roof off. Let's just say hey, everybody, may everybody in my town, in my city, may they all be free from suffering. May I make that happen. May I have the power to make that happen. May it actually happen. And now rise up and looking down like on a map. Just imagine the whole country in which you live, whether it's the United States or whether it's India or whether it's France, or wherever you are right now, your country, your place. Look down on it and let that light come out of your heart, just radiating out to that whole country. And may everyone in my country be free from suffering. May I be able to make that happen. May I be able to free everyone from suffering. May they all be free right now. And then rising up even further and finally looking down at the whole planet Earth. And send out a great blast of light now from your heart that fills the entire planet, touches every single being on this planet instantaneously. Sending out that wish. May all beings on this planet right now be free from suffering. So that's a practice you can do anytime. As many times a day as you want. And I use the term woo-woo there for a second, just because I like saying woo-woo. But I don't mean to belittle it. I know it might sound kind of weird if you haven't done those kind of visualizations before, and sending light out from your heart to other beings and all that kind of stuff might sound pretty new agey. But try it. Again, we're playing with our imaginations here. And so much of our world right now is created by our imagination, or the failure of our imagination. There's two ways to look at it, I guess. So try that. Use your imagination. See how you feel. That's the proof is in the pudding there. See how you feel when you do a practice like that. When you send out that light to others. When you send out that wish on beams of light to others. May you be free from suffering. May you be happy. May you be free. May you be safe. May you be well. I challenge you to tell me that it doesn't make you feel better, and it doesn't change how you then interact with others for some time after that practice. It has a real effect. It has a real effect on us. And if we do this kind of practice regularly, the effect becomes more and more pronounced, and it becomes easier and easier to cultivate compassion for ourselves and for others. We still have our challenges, of course. We still are going to get angry. We're still going to get lit up from time to time, of course. But doing these kinds of practices are an antidote to that, so that we can be more effective, so that we can be more calm, so we can be more at peace, so that we can be more helpful to others, so that we're not so caught up in our own emotions, in our own turmoil, in our own suffering. And that's what we need more of now, more than ever, is people to be there for each other, in that capacity. So I'm going to leave it there tonight. Glad to be back here on Tuesdays. I'll be posting these videos also on YouTube. So on my personal YouTube channel, not my professional one. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, just Chris Lemig, you can as well. But yeah, I hope you're all staying safe, and please reach out if you want to just talk or have any questions about the meditation or the practices that we do here, and I'd be happy to chat with you and just kind of hear what your experience is too. So may you all be well, may you all be safe once again, and all this positive energy that we generate on Tuesday nights, may it continue, not just during the time of our our videos here, but may it continue to be a benefit to others. May it continue to increase positivity in the world, and be of help to others. So, all right, take care, everyone. Much love to you all.